for Christmas it was around 25 or 30 total orders. One order itself was like 17 pieces of clothing. And of course they were all different sizes, different styles. The one 17 piece order was like matching pajamas for a big family. I couldn't have made that many pieces of clothing in the amount of time that I had without the projector. If I had to do all that tracing and taping of the paper or even the tracing of the copy shop files, it just would have taken way too much time. I never could have done it because I got the fabric. It was a pre-order fabric that I received in November. And then I had about 4 weeks of time to get all of that sewing done before Christmas and have them ready for Christmas.
Hello and welcome to the Small Business Sewing Podcast. Join host Cathleen, that's me, from Sunny Mountain Patterns, and Branalyn from Dailey Sews and Stuff, and guest experts as we discuss how to run successful sewing businesses, innovations in sewing, and ways to make more money doing what you love.
Hey guys, welcome back. We're here today with Missy Pore, and she has started a sewing revolution with projector sewing. And she has, in doing that, started a Facebook group, which is huge now. And so we're just going to talk to her about that and also about the business that she's kind of spun off from that. So if you want to hear more of the backstory, you can go to Dailey Sews and Stuff and listen to the interview that I did with her there on YouTube. But Missy, for the people who only follow this, why don't you give us like this really quick summary of how you got started with this?
So I saw the idea posted somewhere in a sewing related group that you could take a projector and shine it down at your table and have the pattern just right there like magic to cut your fabric from. So you didn't have to use any paper at all. You didn't have to print or tape or trace and spend all that time on paper. You could just put it out with the projector and cut. And this was from a company that wanted to do a proprietary patterns only projector that was going to cost a lot of money, but they didn't even have a release date anywhere. And I said, I need this now. So I did some research. There was none to be found on anybody using projectors for sewing. So I just started buying projectors, found one that worked, and then wanted to spread the news because I knew other people would want to know that this was possible, to not have to mess with all that paper. So I started the group to share the information. It blew up. So now we have 30,000 plus members, and I don't really know how many are actually using projectors. It's hard to tell. A lot of people say, well, I'm here. I've been lurking for a long time, but I haven't had, the right situation or the time to really invest. So we really don't know how many are actually using projectors, but there are over 30,000 members. So we're just going to go with that.
When I joined it in October of 2020, it was 19 or 17,000 members. And then now we're recording end of February 2021, and it's almost doubled or more than doubled in that little amount of time. So it's gaining a lot of momentum.
It has been. The momentum kind of hasn't stopped. I mean, it's been over a year, a little bit since I started the group, and it jumps by the hundreds every week. It just continues.
It's been almost exactly a year since I joined because I know we went shopping at IKEA to rearrange my room whenever we got my projector. And it was before we had to wear a mask at IKEA. So it was like almost exactly a year ago.
That is funny too. Side note, how many people are like, well, I got this projector, but now I need a new mat and a new cutting table and I need all this storage for my fabric. It like totally changes their entire setup.
Yeah. Well, I had been promised some storage for my fabric for like 2 years before that. And finally I was like, no, we are doing this. So it snowballed some, but yeah. So you started seeing growth almost immediately. And when I joined, I don't know, there was maybe a few thousand people in there. And then, when Cathleen joined less than a year later, it was almost 20,000 and now it's 30 something. I mean, from the very beginning, was it snowballing?
Oh,
or did it take a little time to get traction?
No, it started very quickly. As soon as I started, I had a successful setup that I started sharing in some of the pattern groups, and people would ask, how do you make sure it's to scale, and how do you set it up? All of the kind of standard questions that we have all the answers to now. But I was trying to make all these comments to reply.
And it's a pain.
Like, yeah, I don't have time for this.
So well, you also named your group really well. So it's convey, like the name conveys what you're getting into,
Yeah.
which is something that one of our other guests, Lily Wu, who manages I think double the size of your group, which your group is still huge, that she mentioned is you want to name it well so people know what they're getting into to join the group, because they only have a few seconds to decide if they want to join a group or not.
And it's a very taggable name. So like when somebody asks a question, you can literally answer with the name of the group, Projectors for Sewing. Like,
so true.
Right, which our Facebook group is not for the podcast. I've tried to do it on my phone and it won't come up. Branalyn's giving me this look. I
thought I fixed that, but I'll have to go look. Okay, anyway.
I'm slightly incompetent as well.
I'll go see later if I fix that or not. So anyway, you started seeing growth really, really fast. And then you added, and we talked about this a little bit on Daily Sews and stuff, but let's talk about it again. Maybe you can throw in something different. You added in some other admin and moderators to help you. How did you go about doing that?
Well, the first one kind of reached out to me because she was the one really doing the help with people when they were having calibration issues. I did not know any of that stuff. I just found a projector that worked and set it up and ran with it. And I knew by starting the group, my initial goal was I need smart people to come in and tell us how to fix these issues, because I don't know how. I know they probably could be fixed, but I don't know. So I want smart people to come in with that knowledge and figure this out once they know it's possible. So that's exactly what happened. And then Sasha started commenting pretty consistently, helping people because she had that knowledge to figure these issues out. So she reached out to me about moderating because she did have some experience. And I was very grateful to have somebody else that could take that role as well. And then Amy came in kind of as a recommendation from Sasha that, she's knowledgeable. She's got kind of the right attitude that we want for a moderator to have in a group. And so we added her in as well. And it's been a breeze. The group has been really easy to manage. I feel like we don't get a lot of trouble in there, and people are just coming in because they want the help with the projectors, and there's not, funny business going on and a lot of babysitting required.
Yeah, that's awesome. We talked in the other group podcast about how I help admin a group that's a debate group, and that one requires a lot of babysitting. But these that are, and so that's where my brain always goes. But these that are not there, that are more, customer or help oriented, people seem to be they want to be there and they want to be helped. And so they're going to follow the rules. Mm-hmm. All right. So you started using a projector because you already had a business. So tell us a little bit about that.
So I had started sewing. I mean, I've sewn for a long time. I started sewing clothes for my kids because I did cloth diaper, and pants don't fit over those. So and then in the mommy groups for the cloth diapering was seeing these pants that you could put over the cloth diapers that you could make. So I started sewing those. Then I started getting requests for custom orders. So I started a little business doing that, and I was maybe only even 3 months into doing that. I've only been sewing for, a business for like about a year and a half now. So I was only in it for a couple months before I quickly realized that messing with all that paper was a pain. I hated it. Sending the copy shop file, waiting for it to come back, tracing every single size, because when you do custom orders, people want different things and they aren't going to be all the same size. So it didn't take long for me to see that was a pain in the neck and I didn't want to deal with it.
Oh, I understand. Yes. When I have to test my patterns out, because I've got I use my 2 little boys as my test fitters. Mm-hmm. It's such a pain to print out all of those. And then anytime I make a change and I want to record it, I have to go print it out again. So the projector has been super useful for that. I just knocked out like 5 outfits yesterday, cutting them out in the evening. And then I had to make one for my kid because he demanded it in flannel.
It's easy to do because you would just cut from the projector instead of having to print it out.
Yeah. So if you are a business owner and you sew or you design patterns, which by the way, if you do and you want help with that, Branalyn and I are making a course for that. So let us know by emailing us at the small business sewing podcast at gmail.com if you want in on that list.
Of course, on how to create patterns for projecting.
Right. It's not a course on actually drafting the patterns. That was just our little plug. Sorry. But if you're a business sewer, pattern projectors to use to project your patterns might save you a lot of time, especially if you're like what Missy had doing custom orders. I'm actually digitizing a set of bikini patterns for a bikini maker right now because she does competition bikinis for bodybuilders, and those all have to be those have to be very custom made. Mm-hmm. And so she's like, I'm tired of having like thousands of papers floating around in my workshop that I have to keep track of for my competitors. And then if they change sizes because they like get bulk gains, right, or they lose weight or they gain weight, then you have to go change it. And then you have to go, it's such a pain versus having files where I can be like, okay, this is the person's name. This is today's, like, from 6 months ago. This is from last week's measurements. Here's the difference. I'll just use last week's measurements instead. Mm-hmm. It's more accurate. I just took that over. Sorry. I was very excited. She asked me to digitize her patterns, which is a whole nother journey of learning how to take pictures of your paper patterns and digitize them. And I found out there's a lot going on with that. It's more than just taking your camera phone and going click, done. Anyway, that's a different topic.
Yeah, but
I'm talking now.
So, no, you're good. So you bought the projector to use for your business for creating things because it's so helpful when you're, like Kathleen said, whenever you need to make a small adjustment, or like you said, when you're making lots of customizations or different sizes. But then now you've kind of pivoted a little bit and you are still doing that, but you're also offering as a business help for people who are trying to set up their projector. So, if you are a designer looking to create projector files, like Kathleen said, we're working on a course for that. But if you are looking to set up your projector and you need a little bit more help, Missy has got that going on with your other business. So talk to us about that business.
So we have awesome documents in the projector for sewing group that were formatted by our moderators, and they are super intelligent people and they use a lot of words, and there's a lot of technological words in there, and it just can be really overwhelming for people that aren't technologically inclined or just can't process a lot of words. And I'm one of those people. I even know what they're talking about. I can't read all those words. It's just
I'm going to be honest with you. Other than my incompetence with Facebook, I'm fairly technologically inclined. I'm actually an engineer, and I read regularly 2,000 patents like in a day. I'm looking, I don't read them all, but I'm skimming through it. So I'm good with words. And I was like, oh, that's a lot of words.
It's a lot. It's a lot to process, and it can just be completely overwhelming and intimidating. And then some people just shut down. Like, this is too much for me. That must mean I can't use a projector, which is so false. I mean, and that's why I started doing the one-on-one video chats, because some people just process and learn differently, and they need that one-on-one kind of handhold for somebody. A lot of people were posting like, can't somebody just come over and do this for me? Which I can't. I can't just show up at your house and do that, but I can come, we can connect through video chat. Right. I mean, I would totally fly anywhere, but that would take
as long as you pay for it.
Yeah. I don't think the video chat's a lot more manageable for budgets. So we can arrange for that instead. And then I can still be home with my family. There's a lot of positives to it, but there were just so many people that felt like they couldn't manage it on their own, trying to sort through even the wonderful resources that we have. It was just too much for them. So I, see a need, fill a need. I have the information. I'm knowledgeable in it since I started the group, and have learned a lot of the technological stuff that is involved that I didn't know before. I've just learned from being the moderator of the group for this long. So I feel like I have the information and the willingness to help people now to do that.
Right. So if you're everyone else and you want to get your projector and you're thinking about it because it's going to save you time and money, and you don't have Branalyn on speed dial like I did, because I was just like, well, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm reading it. I still don't know what I'm doing. You can go look up for Missy Pores. Either you do group ones as well, don't you?
I was
But
doing
that's
group.
okay. That's a
I've
bit too
gotten
hard,
away from
probably.
that because I think it was too hard to manage. Whenever
That's true.
different
Everyone's
people had, there were different setups, there are different projectors, there's too many variables that could be different from one person to the other. I thought maybe that would be easier than it was. So I learned a lesson there. We're not going to do the groups anymore.
If you're listening to this right now going, yes, I need that help. I'm scared to set my projector up. I'm scared to get a projector because I don't know how to set it up. I'm going to screw it up. Missy, how do they find you right now? So they don't have to listen till the end, though you should. Please do.
So there's my appointment app that I use is bit.ly/MPC help.
And we'll have that on the YouTube description box and in show notes as we get that going.
So for your business, how have you seen your sewing business, not the setting up business? How have you seen it helping your productivity using a projector versus using paper patterns?
Oh, it's unbelievable. For Christmas I'm trying to think of the total number of items that I did. It was around 25 or 30 total orders. One order itself was like 17 pieces of clothing. And of course they were all different sizes, different styles. The one 17 piece order was like matching pajamas for a big family. And I couldn't have made that many pieces of clothing in the amount of time that I had without the projector. If I had to do all that tracing and taping of the paper or even the tracing of the copy shop files, it just would have taken way too much time. I never could have done it because I got the fabric. It was a pre-order fabric that I received in November. And then I had about 4 weeks of time to get all of that sewing done before Christmas and have them ready for Christmas because most of them were presents. And I just couldn't have done it without the projector. There's no way. So most of my orders, I can be more productive, and that hasn't really translated necessarily into more orders. It's just translated into more peace of mind and time with my family. I mean, I have a family. I do work outside of the home as well. I have another business outside of the home. So for my just sanity, to have that time to spend, instead of messing with all that paper.
Like everyone that we've interviewed and including ourselves is like, we have this and this and this and this. We're all just insane, but we find a way to make it work. So you decided to turn helping people use their projectors into a business, and that has been really helpful. So if you are all about the words and you want to read, you can do that. Mm-hmm. If you're all about the words, but you want some visual with it, then you can watch my videos. And if you're all about I need that one-on-one, tell me exactly what to do next, then Missy's got you. And we'll make sure that you've got the link to schedule with her. And you can also find it in the Projectors for Sewing group. If you're part of that group.
Which, by the way, if you're going, wait, what? The Facebook group we're talking about is the Projector for Sewing, not plural, Facebook group. Branalyn's YouTube channel is Daily Sews and Stuff. And Missy Pores can you give that website again? And by the way, we're not getting paid to say any of this. We're not getting paid to do any of this. So this is definitely not an affiliate link as of yet.
So my website is bit.ly/MPC help.
So it's MP as in Missy Pore.
Yep.
And C, the letter C.
For calibration.
Calibration. Oh, I see. So remember Missy Pore, calibration, help.
Yep.
So what have you learned from helping all these other people set up? Did you learn anything new about a faster way to do this or a different way to do this? Or
I guess I did have to kind of figure out how to streamline it a bit more just so I could cut down on how much time I needed to be on the phone with them. So I did kind of start asking some questions ahead of time. What's your setup like? Is it mounted or is it not yet? Have you found the file that we need to calibrate with? Because that gives me an idea. Like if you've already found it, can you just have everything turned on, have the calibration grid open, and we can just start right with the calibration? Some people have needed more help from the very beginning of like, here's my device. That's about it.
Is it out of the box?
Yeah. Yes. So
Did you plug it in on both sides?
Right. Let's plug it in. Here's the file. I'm going to send that to you through Messenger so you can open it. They really need, I'm here for it. That's what I'm going to do to help you. I'm just preparing myself ahead of time because sometimes I didn't really know what I was going to come into initially. So I have started asking some questions ahead of time to know just how much time we need and how much help you really need. Because there are plenty of people that are like, well, we've already tried to calibrate it for 2 days. We're just running into this problem that we don't know how to fix and they're stuck. So it really only takes maybe half an hour, if that, to work through those issues. But some people, we've got to start from the very beginning.
Yeah. So I have learned two different things, like consultation.
Yes.
For problem solving. And then you have one where you're doing a whole workshop to set it up. So at the end of the workshop, they're set up. Basically, You're assuming they know practically nothing other than how to push the on button and use a mouse.
Exactly. Yep.
So what would you say for sewers or business sewers that are scared to get a projector? Because they're looking at all this going, oh my God, this is going to take me forever. I'm going to spend $150 and this is not going to work out and I'll waste my money. What do you want to tell them?
I don't know. My personality is just go for it. I mean, because we have awesome resources in the group, because we have Branalyn's videos, because I am offering this one-on-one help, you can't go wrong, really. There's been so few instances now where we know that there are certain projectors that will not work. We know what to look for in the projectors themselves to make sure they have the right specifications. That can even all sound like jargon. So if that's the problem, I'm again offering the one-on-ones to even just say, show me your setup, show me your sewing room, and then I'll recommend a few options for you to choose from because it can be overwhelming to go on Amazon and see 100 different projectors. But there's so many resources available now. A year ago that we didn't have then, but we still figured it out. So if we can get this far now, I'm almost positive. I think we have a 99% success rate. I wish we had statistics on that to show that there's really very few people that cannot use a projector in their setup.
And generally, I think the people who decide not to do it are just, it's not because there's not a solution. It's just because they've decided they're done trying to find the solution.
Yeah. It's personal preference too. I mean, yeah. And it can be, the process of setting up can take a few hours for some people, not for everybody. But I think
it's like giving birth to a child. Some people are like, man, the kid was out in 10 minutes. And other people are like, I was in labor for 3 days.
That's so true. But the payoff is still the same.
And you still have a crying little baby that you have to wake up every 2 hours to feed anyway.
Yes.
But not with, no. Projectors, you don't have to change your diapers. You don't have to wake up with them. It's fine.
Right. They take care of themselves.
They take care of themselves. They're pretty good about that. Uh-huh. Yeah, no, I have an ultra short throw and I was actually cutting on the ground and my kids would play with the projector all the time. So I had to keep moving it. So I have to calibrate every time I want to cut.
Mm-hmm.
I changed that setup, but I still make sure the calibration is good. And it takes me 5 minutes now because I already know generally where I need to put the business card or the piece of paper to lower or raise it on the same spot. It's all about consistency if you're going to move it. But most people mount it on the ceiling or they have some really cool mirror setup with a mirror reflects it down onto the cutting space that I've seen. And so that wasn't even an idea you had last year, is it?
Yeah.
It's something new.
Well, about the time I joined, there were people talking about it, but nobody had quite figured it out yet because there's a lot of math involved there with the mirrors.
Which I did actually, I don't know if you've seen it. I actually formatted a worksheet to walk through that math. So there's just formulas that you plug in a couple of numbers into, and then you work through the math to figure out, because it's the distance from the table to the mirror and then the mirror to the lens. You've got to work through that and then figure out how big of an image size that will make. And I actually also worked out the math into a formula so that you know the mirror size itself. Because a lot of people would come with questions like, how do I know how big the mirror size to get? And at first we were just kind of like, well, we don't know. But
maybe we try and see. Maybe we can make that into a spreadsheet. So you just type in these 3 things.
Yeah.
Like throw distance, mirror size,
Yes.
how big you want your thing, and the distance.
That was kind of what the worksheet came out to. Yeah. You plug in the desired image size that you want, and then some different, like you have
a worksheet. It's a spreadsheet.
Yep.
Yeah, because whenever I first heard this idea, I had a projector that I was using to do like PowerPoint whenever I would go teach trainings, and but it was not a short enough throw. It made a very tiny image whenever I just kind of held it up the distance it would have been from my table. And so
you can make like underwear for dolls.
Right. Yeah. So a couple of people were like, oh, you could use a mirror. And I was like, yeah, but I'm not going to figure that out. So that's when I got the projector that I have now. But Kathleen's laughing at me because I just hit my microphone. I do this every single time.
And it like and her like her spit screen smacks her in the face. I shouldn't laugh at that. I'm horrible.
Yeah. I need to move. I need to, you know what? When we move, I'm going to put this in a better place.
Yeah, all right. You have a better setup. Anyway.
Yes. So if you are thinking that you don't have a solution and you can't use a projector because you don't have a big enough space, because you can't mount it on the wall, because you, whatever, insert issue here, what's your answer, Missy?
We will find a way. Where there's a will, there's a way. That's my personality. It might take time. It might take some frustration, but there's a way. We'll work it out.
You can definitely ask on the Facebook group, and Missy will answer you, or Sasha Soist will answer you. They're really good about getting back. Do you guys like not have a job or something?
We do. Sasha's amazing. I don't know how she does it.
She's amazing. I don't know how she does it.
I think she's working from home. That might help. But yeah, she's quick. We try. We really, I actually do set time apart in the evening after kids are in bed to go through the day's posts and make sure that we've addressed real questions. I mean, a lot of people sometimes now are asking about PDF Stitcher, which I don't have quite answers for. I haven't delved into that a whole lot. So a lot of people just reference to Branalyn's videos on that and references that we have. But when there are questions about what kind of projector or setup issues, I go through and like pretty much every night and make sure those are addressed.
Which, by the way, if you're curious about the PDF Stitcher, which is a program that's free if you join the Facebook group, Charlotte Curtis made that, and Branalyn interviewed her on that, and we're going to actually be interviewing her in a couple of weeks, which I don't know when that's going to come out in relation to this episode, but we'll have an episode with her about making that program and how it works.
And what it was like and what it was like to take her work skills and use them for her sewing stuff. She's a very sweet lady, and it was really awesome to talk with her, so I'm excited to do that again. All right. So we talked about how if you are creating garments as a business, you need a projector. And if you need help setting it up, you can talk to Missy. And we talked about how if you are creating patterns, then you need to be creating projector patterns. And we will have some help coming for that soon. If you're already creating patterns and you know kind of what's going on, you can go into the group, and there are, I don't know, at least 20 threads where people have chimed in before about what we want from projector patterns. And sometimes that's probably overwhelming because you're going to get conflicting answers because, we're all different people and we all have different wants and needs. But this is, Missy, what is it now? 32,000 people?
32, yeah.
It's growing.
There's growing. Even if only half of those people are actually using their projectors, that is a ton of people. That is a lot of customers.
A lot of them are saying, hey, this company doesn't provide a projector pattern, or they have a projected pattern, but it's terrible because it doesn't have these things. And that was what my research was doing. So we're told this episode is totally self-promotion for both of us. But that the course is going to cover setups on a good projector pattern, like things that I've had multiple people using to test out even the format, like, oh, this is useful, like having wide margins. How much margin is a wide margin? Having large enough font that you can read while it's projected on. How big should that be? I have that all set up.
And you need to be doing this because, and I'm sure Missy can confirm this, that a lot of people in the group will say,
I'm not buying it if it's not a projector anymore.
If there's not a projector file. Yeah. And
they don't want to mess with it.
Yeah. I don't mind running something through the PDF Stitcher, but I don't want to do a lot of stuff to have to be able to change
And it's,
to use
the
it.
PDF stitch is not optimized, but it's great.
I think the top two issues are not enough margin and PDF and putting it together into with PDF Stitcher, which addresses both. You know, you can add the margins very easily. So
right. But if you want just a ready to go one that people are going to rave about, then you need to figure out what margin sizes. I'm going to have that. I have a whole outline already set up. This is definitely 100% self-plugging here.
All right. So
anyway,
I had Missy,
to the actual topic.
I had Missy at Dailey Sews and stuff, and now we've got her over here. And I don't know about her, but I'm getting hungry and I'm ready to wrap this up. So, Kathleen, is there anything you want to ask her before we ask her the final 4 questions?
Yeah, Missy, can you reiterate for people that make garments or other sewing items for sale, like physical items, what benefits they would get from using a projector?
I feel like that list could go on. So you're eliminating the time that it takes to use paper, whether that is sending even the AO copy shop out to have it printed and then brought back and then having to trace it. Now you've also, since you don't have to trace all of those sizes and styles, you don't have to store anything, which then means you don't have to go look for any of it and try to find the paper that you just printed and traced 3 days ago and now it ran away and your kids drew all over it, or, you know, the puppy chewed it up. Because now you can just, I buy brand new patterns, I download to my computer, I open it in Adobe, and I have it projecting in 2 minutes or less. I've never actually timed it. That would be interesting to see exactly the time that it takes to do that. But it's a couple clicks on your computer or device and you've got it open. So that leads to increased productivity, which could mean more orders, or it could just mean more time with your family or doing the other things that you would rather be doing than fussing with all that paper.
And a projector, I mean, you can spend a lot of money on a projector. You're going to spend at least $100, and some people have spent way more than that. But you buy that and you buy it once, and then you're not going to have to, you might have to replace a bulb eventually or something, but you're not going to have to keep buying that. With printing, you have to buy the paper every time you print. You have to buy the ink every time you print. You have to.
The ink can be like $50 a pop, and if you go through ink every 3 months, which I'm close to doing because I have to print so much to test my patterns.
The number one thing that sold me was the time that it saved. Right. Yes, the saving money was a bonus, but the time that I didn't have to put into all that paper that's priceless to me.
All right, Missy, what is, and this is going to fit just right in, what is your favorite time-saving tip?
Oh, use a projector. Other than that, I think batch cutting and batch sewing really keeps me going. I actually enjoy the cutting part now. I used to dread it because of all the paper, but now even just popping stuff out, because once you have it, once you have your computer up and running, which mine is slow. It's an old computer. It's not that old. It's maybe 5 years old, but it just slows down, and like rebooting it is a hassle. So I would just rather cut a whole bunch of stuff out while I have it already up and going. And then I've got a big pile of stuff then that I can go batch sew. And that, I find that saves me. It also helps though, even having your cutting table in proximity of your sewing machines, because how many times have you cut something and been like, crap, I forgot to cut the lining. Then you have to go.
You got to walk all the way back to your cutting table.
Yep.
That's so for those of you that have separate cutting versus sewing tables.
Yeah. So, mine makes an L. I've got my sewing machines right up, butted up against my cutting table, but I do like having that right here or even to make adjustments, when you have to do grading and whatnot. But I do like having my cutting table right there for whenever I have to.
Which, by the way, I totally forgot. Projectors, you can use more than just cutting the patterns out. People have used it to provide placement for applique, so they know exactly where it is to do mirrored things on applique. I've done it to make this sign behind me which side is it, for our symbol. Like I had a Cricut that cut out all of these pieces, and I had to piece it together. So I just blew up the size and had it project down, and was like, oh, paste here, done. It was a little bit longer than that, but it's got so much more uses if you do other types of crafts too.
Mhm.
Or placing a Cricut file or a cut thing on a shirt that you've made, or one of Kathleen's patterns, you can trace the quilting that you're going to do around. It's very simple quilting for the backpack. You can trace.
I did not think of doing that, by the way. I made the pattern. I didn't think to do that. I printed out the stupid little hearts. Like, well, I have to print this page out.
No printing.
No, you don't have to. You can trace it.
I'm the smartest person in the room.
That's so funny.
I'm the only person in the room.
Your brain does crazy math things that my brain cannot do. I think of the simple solution, so I don't have to do the crazy things. But yeah, so you can use the projector to save in time in so many different ways.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then I guess you can answer this both ways if you want to, or you can just choose one business to answer this for. How do you price things?
Oh, for my clothing, I go off of price of the material and then my time that I invest in making it, which I do feel, yeah, that's kind of a hard question because I've cut my time down now by using a projector versus all the paper, but my skills have also grown. So I kind of base it on what I think my time is worth and how based on my skill level, because I'm doing a lot more complicated things now. So I kind of base it off of those two things. As far as the calibration and consultation help, I'm taking my time, investing my time in helping and
your knowledge.
And my knowledge. Yes. I've gained a lot of knowledge. I can't even say that I know it all, but I'm going to find out if I don't know.
And so you just have a set price on that, like per
yes, it's a flat rate
per session or per hour.
Yeah, it's a flat rate. And I even tell people, if you have any other questions that come up, please feel free to message me. I'm kind of like at your disposal now that we've done this consultation. So,
and this might change because you might be getting so busy you can't accommodate a flat rate type of thing, because some people, they only need half an hour consultation versus somebody needs like a 3-hour full on step by step. And there's no way you can accommodate the people that need a consultation for the same price.
Yes.
Or very, very, very versa versus some person that needs a 3-hour step-by-step walkthrough.
Yes.
It's just not practical.
Yeah, I haven't had that trouble yet. So that could definitely morph into that as it grows.
So what do you automate?
So I have the app that I have the link to that does, I actually really tried to find some sort of software or app that I could have the scheduling and payment and video chat all in the same place. And that was really hard to find. I did find one and it was not user friendly. And so I was like, this isn't worth it. So I went another route and now I use the appointments by Square. And so they take the payment and I put my scheduling availability time in there, and then people can choose what time works for them and put their appointment in. So that has been awesome. And then I do have to reach out to the person after that and make contact so that they know how I'm going to video chat with them. But it has been a lot easier and user friendly. So that's been great to use.
Did you look into Calendly? Because we use Calendly to schedule, and you can set it up to take payments, and it schedules. You can block out times for when you're available. They can schedule whenever during that time you're available. This is well, I don't know if Branalyn sent you a Calendly link.
No, because we set it up differently because we were doing the interview too.
But it'll send the person an email with a reminder. It also automatically, you can integrate Zoom.
Ooh.
And then there's also an option to have payments. We didn't take that one because we're using the free version, which only lets you have one type of meeting and you can't take payments. But you can look into that, and we figured it out. So
it doesn't like start the Zoom meeting for you. You have to actually have Zoom separately to do the Zooming, but it will automatically assign like a Zoom link.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And they can just click on it it shows up a calendar. It has time slots and days, and you can click on it and it'll send them an email with the link, and you can add in a message like, here's what you should already have set up before we start. Here's a little video showing you how to set up before we start, what I need you to do, that sort of thing. And then it does a reminder email. You can set it either the day before or like half an hour before. And then you can also, for the paid version, have an option to send a follow-up email.
Wow.
Yeah. But these
like
you can
that.
also attach a payment. So look, it's Calendly, Calendly.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna look into that for sure because I would love to
I hope
have
this
it
is
all
worth your
streamlined like that.
Yeah.
I hope this was worth your time.
Yeah. If you're going to take payments, though, you have to pay for Calendly. So I don't know, that might.
Well, and there's fees with the Square app too, so I'm paying for it. I mean, I don't pay for the app specifically, but anytime a payment comes through, they have a fee that they take out. So it might all turn out the same.
Yeah. And one more time, where can people find you?
I have my appointments by Square app that you can find me at bit.ly/MPC help. And
also in the Projectors for Sewing group, which if you go to facebook.com/groups/projectors for sewing, that's right there. And we'll have as many links as we can in the YouTube description box and possibly in the show notes if we can figure that out on the other platforms we're on now. All right. So if you have gotten amazing information from this, please like this and subscribe to this. If you would like to interact with us, we would love to talk to you. Come join us at the Small Business Sewing Community, which is also a Facebook group. And this week, we want you to answer the question, how do you, or if you don't already, how could you incorporate projectors into your business? And I think that a lot of different makers could use projectors in a lot of different ways. So if you are a maker of something else, let us know the creative things you could do with them. Missy, it has been amazing to talk to you all morning long, but I've taken up your whole morning, so probably I should let you go. Thank you so much for coming, and thank you so much for sharing all of your knowledge.
So this has been Kathleen, that's me, from Sunny Mountain Patterns, and Branalyn from Daily Sews and Stuff for the Small Business Sewing Podcast. We were interviewing Missy Pore about using projectors for sewing and how she started an entire sewing revolution and built a humongous, helpful Facebook group.
Yes.
We'll talk to you next time. Thanks. Okay, bye.
That's how she always ends it. Hey, y'all, it's Branalyn, jumping back in here this evening to add something in that Missy thought of later and wanted to make sure we included. And it was really well said. So I wanted to make sure that it was included as well. When we asked her how she priced things, she talked about how she took into account what her time was worth as the person providing the service. But what she wanted to include was your time is worth something too. If you've been spending hours trying to get your setup correct and you still don't have it correct, spending that little bit of money to hire her services will end up saving you so much time in the long run, and your time is well worth that small expense. We just wanted to make sure that was included and to know that it's not just about valuing your time as the creator, the provider, the service provider. It's also about valuing your customer's time. One way to value it is going to be to charge them an appropriate amount for their time as well as yours. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us.